Hello party people, it is Will Pemble here, and I am back where it all began. Follow me. Yes, the caution zone, the backyard roller coaster. It has been a while since we were back here, right? Here's the original thing, the first coaster we ever made, and if you look back at some of the videos, I guess I'll put like a card and you can click and look at some of the earlier videos. You'll see the track was shiny and new, and the lumber was all clean and perfect, and it was this wonderful, glorious thing. And we've moved on and done so many other projects since then that Liz, my wife, she says it's kind of turned into a bit of a ruin back here. So Lyle and I were trying to figure out what to do next, and what we decided that the thing to do was to combine a couple of things that we've done in the past. And so one of the things that Lyle and I have always wanted to do is to take a coaster and give it the iron horse treatment. So what we're gonna do is take all of the PVC down. So basically take the whole thing apart, everything but the 4x4 uprights, it's all gonna come down and there'll be nothing left. And so we'll do some really awesome time lapse and show you how that stuff goes. So we're basically gonna take the caution zone down and replace the PVC track with steel track, so that we'll have kind of a hybrid wood steel coaster here in the backyard. And let me show you another little thing that I think would be fun to do along the way. Come on. Here's a design that I may have shared with you before, where Carl and I were talking about ways to make a dragon-shaped cart out of the coaster. So if you look here and here, you'll see these would be like the wheels of the coaster cart, and this red lines here would be sort of the passenger compartment in the frame, and then the frame would also get, that's like a top-down view of the frame, and then here's a person sitting inside it. But basically what we would do is we would build this frame, and the cart, you'd sit in kind of the dragon's head, and here his front claws would grab around the back wheels of the cart, and then here would be the front wheels of the cart, as I've said. We could do some really cool things with LEDs and lights for the eyes using Arduino and Protopalette and stuff, and then we could also figure out a way to make the dragon actually breathe fire as the dragon goes around the turn. And so now I'm going to show you what I've got in mind in terms of breathing fire. So here I've got a great big canister of CO2, carbon dioxide, which is awesome in so many ways. What I have in mind, in order to find a way to make the dragon, the nose of the dragon here, breathe fire, is we need some kind of portable thing. And I was thinking that maybe if I had an inverted bottle of CO2 smaller than this inside the cart, and I could somehow actuate it remotely or based on a timer, I could get the dragon to kind of breathe fire. So let me get some parts and pieces and I'll show you what I have in mind. The bits and pieces I have in mind for making the dragon breath, let's see if I can get this up here. I'll actually put this up in post so you can see it. I'll just weight the thing down here so we can kind of give you an idea what I'm thinking about is, right? So what I want to have happen here is I want to have smoke come out the dragon's nostrils, right? I want it to breathe fire. That's what I want. I want a fire-breathing dragon. So the way I'm going to make that come true, I think, is I'm going to use this solenoid, right? And I'm going to attach the CO2 canister to this solenoid, and then I'll take these couple of just bits and pieces of copper pipe that I've got, and then I'll make a T, and then it'll come out, and I may try to chop this and piece it together for you. But mainly what I wanted to show you today is how I can make this, how I can actuate this solenoid. So I'm going to use my Protopalette, which just has a cool switch built into it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this whole thing a little more usable. All right, I'm going to put, I'm just going to crimp some connectors onto the bits of wire that I'm using because I love this little, it's a really cool crimping tool. If you don't have one of these, get one of these because they're awesome. You can wire up all sorts of wonderful things. All right, so I can take my, all right, got a nice little strong end on that one. Little things like this makes your life easier if you want to like learn stuff, right? So now I've got this little thing, I've got a great little way to prototype, so I can now wire my solenoid, right, into, let's call this, this will be the ground of my solenoid, and I'll wire that over here into my push button on the proto pallet. Push. Then I'll wire the ground of my battery through here. Right, now I've got a little male plug on this one, so now I'll come over here and get a little female plug for my other piece, and this goes, all right, that wires into there, and then I just stick this in here very gingerly and go boop. So now if I connect these two things together, I've got an almost complete circuit, right? I've got the ground of my solenoid traveling to one side of my switch and then into the ground of my 6-volt battery, and then I've got power from my 6-volt battery going out into the power. So theoretically, when I push this button, I should get a nice satisfying ticking noise which opens up the valve in the solenoid. So let's see if it works. You hear that? So now I have a working solenoid that is switchable through the proto pallet in this battery system, right? I've discovered that I'm one fitting shy of making this whole thing come together, and so what I've got here is I've got a really cool and proven system of opening and closing a valve really fast, right? Just with a real quick click, I can turn on and off. I can turn on and off the gas really fast, which means when the coaster is running around, I can go psh, psh. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to program an Arduino microcontroller to manage the switch so that it turns on and off. And then I'm also going to do, in the next video, I'm going to connect this whole thing together. I'm one fitting shy of doing it right now, but I do want to show you how cool it is when you get CO2 going in an exciting direction. So, and then all of this, I want you to imagine all of this coming out of the nostrils of the cart, coming out of the nostrils of the dragon, which is what we're going to use for the Iron Horse cart back there. We're going to build a dragon that snakes along the thing, and so this is kind of coming along fine. So if I open up this CO2 canister just like this, just CO2 comes out, right? It's in its gas form, so you don't see it at all. But if I take the CO2 canister, let me stop for a second and tell you not to try this at home ever. This is one thing that I want you to be not doing at home. I want you to do it with supervision of somebody who's expert in managing this sort of stuff, all right? So if you turn the CO2 sideways or inverted so that liquid CO2 comes out, what happens is the CO2 will come out in liquid form, and that means it'll be frozen basically. As soon as it hits the air, it'll freeze and it'll start to boil, and when things boil, they steam, and here's what you end up with when you do it this way. So that's what we're going to end up with. We're going to end up with what appears to be a fire-breathing dragon for the Iron Horse backyard caution zone, which will probably require more caution than ever before. So that's the scoop for today. Thank you for helping me bring physics, family, and fun to kids everywhere. We've got some crazy exciting stuff coming up, the Southern California Park Tour, and a big surprise, which I haven't told anybody about yet, but there's a really cool announcement coming soon about that. So subscribe, like, share, tell your friends. There is crazy awesome stuff coming up for the CoasterDad Project. We are just getting started, and I will see you soon.